Ndong. Now, before we get on to the AFCON, I just wanted to bring you quick. In fact, I think it's only fair that we do this from home to international. I know the AFCON was big, but first of all, there was an early kickoff game today in the FKF, Kenyan Premier League, and Tusker have been beaten 1-0 by Bidco.
Watched bits of it. I think it's the first game to be broadcast on KBC. Remember, they had that free-to-air deal.
Yes.
It's taken some time, but today was the first day.
Very nice.
I think the production team should do better, must do better. But yes, we saw a game on TV.
Let's count wins. At least it's on TV.
Yes, and then I think Tusker also very poor today. Yeah.
Tusker have barely hung on this season, but at least one.
Were just off. It was an off day.
So that's the early kickoff game. In the games that are taking place now that started at 3 p.m, Kakamega Homeboys, Muhoroni Youth is 0-0. Nzoia Sugar versus Rangers is 0-0. And then in the game that has been at the center of conversations for the last 48 hours, Police versus Kogalo. Kogalo are leading by a goal to nil. A goal scored after 6 minutes. So half an hour gone in that game. Kogalo 1, Police FC 0. I think Kogalo have wrapped this whole league up. The rest of us will be out to sign in procession.
I totally agree. But that controversy, I don't know if that's what we are segueing into. That
yeah. That's why I said yeah.
Now, you see, the controversy has been very interesting because you'd assume it's related to the game itself.
Which controversy are we talking about?
Goja.
He's setting it up.
Goja. So you'd assume...
That's why we finish some things very quickly. Because it's a 10 minutes na 1 second.
Anyway, so the issue has been in terms of ticketing.
Yeah.
Because you know what happened? Actually came to... This story came to light when I saw the head coach of Gor Mahia, Jonathan McKinstry. He shared a long thread. So I thought he was talking about the way he's passionate about... Of course he's passionate about God. Yeah. So I thought he was talking about the way his time here, because he normally wakes up sometimes and just has a thread talking about the fans, talking about the club. He started talking about they used to buy tickets at five British pounds, and then now he started talking about the fans are very critical. Then out of the blue, I just saw him commenting, and just I could tell he was really irritated with the fact that the host team, Kenya Police, have spiked up the ticket prices by almost 8-fold. So I was like, huh? So I looked at the prices that had been the price for the tickets, and I'm seeing 3,000.
Yeah.
I'm seeing
VIP,
and I'm thinking, wait up, that na hizo ni zile vitu mtu anaeka hapo za plastic. Ama ni mimi?
VIP ni mahali unakaa, sio kiti.
Sorry. Ukikuja na yako.
VIP ni
guys, we're discussing a Kenyan Premier League game.
Ni section unakaa, sio kiti.
No, actually it's VVIP actually.
No, 3,000. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. VVIP, VIP or Russia is the location of the stadium, not the seat.
Yeah.
I get
understand my warped logic.
I understand.
Kula watu wanachoma huko ni Russia.
VVIP was 3,000. 3,000. VIP was 2,000. Terraces was 1,500. I think this is one of the most expensive.
Russia 1,500.
This is one of the most expensive tickets I've seen ever.
Very in Kenyan football. Yeah.
Yes, for a local match.
Yes. Na vile mashabiki wa Gor wengi watokaga tu hapo Kibra hapo. Niingize study. Leo amekuja na 15. I really want to see how the crowd looks like, But there's a lot of
yeah.
So because we know you're a football man, you're always digging and you keep saying our football is a crime scene. So what's going on?
I just believe this is a tactic to keep fans away.
Why? As the home team, as police, don't you want all the fans to come? You get charges.
Gor Mahia game is a high risk game. A lot of things can go wrong. Even as per FIFA books, this is one of the 3 games in Kenya classified as high risk. Gor Mahia, FC Leopards, and Harambee Stars. These are high risk matches. A lot can go wrong. I don't think the police stadium is adequately prepared to cater for 10,000-15,000 rowdy Gor Mahia fans or rowdy Kenyan football fans.
When was the last time we had 15,000 fans in a stadium?
Even if it's 5,000, I don't think it's adequately prepared. There's no perimeter fence.
Yes.
There's no a lot of things. Kama kuna choo. I stand corrected on the choo one lakini. But I just feel this is because 3,000 is not value for money by any stretch of
even for VVIP.
By any stretch of imagination. The Kenyan football is an ISO.
Safari Sevens 1,000.
Can you imagine? Yes, and that huko kuna vitu mzuri.
Safari Sevens nina huko. Hapa hii ni football bana. Biggest sport in the
3,000.
Safari Sevens kuna vitu mzuri. Macho hiyo 1,000 ni value for money.
Let me ask, that 3,000 comes with what?
A perfect watching. What's the word? Not perfect. There's a word where you can see everything. Like not eye view. There's the
vantage.
Prime. Yeah, vantage viewing point of the game. Like I said, it's the segment.
Guys, I think This police, for some reason, just decided fans should not come to the
Yeah,
stadium.
it's the perfect segment. It's the perfect place, the vantage point. You know, it's the area. We are not paying for the actual seat.
Yeah.
No, the actual. But guys, here's the question: why are police having to play at police circle? Like, with all seriousness.
Because Kasarani and Nyayo, of course, got banned from that. You remember the hooliganism acts that followed Eliud Owalo's bus unveiling?
Yes.
I think that issue has not quite been sorted. They were slapped with a big fine in millions of shillings. Gor Mahia will almost certainly not pay. They look for a diplomatic
Political solution.
The political solution out of it. But as things go, I think that was the only police was the only available place.
But I thought Kasarani and Nyayo Bernard are already closed for renovation for AFCON 2027.
Yes, they are closed off.
Closed on paper.
No, there was, I think, was it this week? The CS was there, and even from the images I could able to see, you can see a lot of activities happening. Like they've moved in some of the seats.
Bernard,
Yes.
crusade ya Benihini kwa wapi? Ya next month. Ujaona mabillboard huku
Mimi
nje?
sijaona.
Iko wapi? Si tuko hapa na wewe. Si tuko hii town na wewe tu. Tuko hapa tu Nation FM na wewe.
Utaangalia.
Itakuwa in one of these two stadiums. Si ameshaweka billboard Mombasa Road, nikitoka Imara Daima naona moja. Ingine iko hapa.
Uwanja ni wapi?
Either Kasarani au Nyayo, weka macho.
Where?
Anyway, for me, this ticket issue is just bizarre.
True.
It's unnecessary attention. Like, I'm assuming maybe perhaps they didn't want a significant number of people in the facility.
That is
What's
it.
the capacity of the stadium?
Should be 5,000.
5,000.
Please, guys, when we say stadium, what do we mean?
It's not a stadium.
Now that I have sobered up.
Your sister D.
What?
Your sister D, by the way. But it opens up, if you allow me to just digress kidogo,
Yes.
it opens up a very good discussion. What is the value of a Kenyan Premier League ticket? How can we ensure, because there are people here that can pay 500, 1,000 bob to watch a game. But what is it that they are lacking from a KPL match? Because there are very many people, every weekend they go to a bar stool, as my uncle Musonye said, take 5 beers and watch one EPL game
Yes.
and go home.
There's even somebody right now ameingia kwa nini anaanza kuwatch hii game ya Tottenham na Everton.
Na amenunua mzinga.
Yeah.
But there's a Kenyan football match that he does not see value to even pay 100 bob. What is it that he's missing in a local game that he's so very, very much okay? There's a day,
Tottenham, I think, are leading actually.
yes, you see, and it's packed, and I think the cheapest ticket must have been £100. So what is it that we are missing? Because there's a day I found myself in Kikuyu very late into the night, and I entered into some pub to watch an EPL game. And it was packed, and guys were drinking themselves silly. Hata kama ni mamuratina, maizi maloko brew, but guys were drinking. Why can't guys embrace 500 bob a ticket, 1,000 bob a ticket in a Kenyan Premier
But
League
what
game?
does it come with?
Value. It's the value.
thing,
It's the
'cause-
question Bernard asked. Value.
Yeah, exactly. And you see, the thing is, you're also looking at people's. It's an unfortunate reality, the economic situation of certain people. So, for example, yes, I want to go and watch a game.
Yeah.
And to
No,
go and
no,
yes,
yeah, I'm actually
yeah,
Yeah.
and to go and watch a game.
Yes.
The people who largely spend is the middle income, kinda. And upper, I don't know how it is in Kenya nowadays, because it used to be upper class, middle class. Nowadays it's low. It's
Wote tuko low.
iko all over. Iko all over. Eleweki.
Unaweza kuwa low leo, kesho uko
get-
high.
But now you see, based on that, that's now how that should inform the ticketing pricing. And you should ask yourself, okay, fine. Mostly the majority are people who, of course, in the different levels of society.
yes.
They're the ones who are passionate about the local league. So those people, you need to ask yourself, okay, fine. How do you accommodate them? How do you make sure that they're able to spend, they're able to enjoy the experience? You understand? If you can say, you know what, we can. I'm just being. This is just fishing things from my head. You say, you know what, ticket itakuwa mia, or it can be 80 bob. But now somebody, I don't know, tops up the rest. I don't know. I'm just trying to look at how you can be able to make, because the middle class nice is kuna maringo, because that's the unfortunate reality. You're like, I'm going to watch a league game. You see, even if you do a small kind of what is it called? Focus groups, the things you go and ask.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you go and watch a game? The first thing most people will say, Ntarushiwa mawe. That's what people sometimes say. But what I'm trying to say, let me get to my point, is it's how do you make that atmosphere? How do you make people feel comfortable? How do you make people feel
Very
safe?
true.
How do you make people know it's more than just the football? If you look, you've gone to games internationally and you've seen, ukitoka hapo nje kidogo, there's maybe a place you can go and sit
wanachoma
and
nyama hapo
you're
nje,
relaxing. Just the
pombe,
festival atmosphere.
car wash,
And that's what a lot of Kenyans to some extent enjoy.
True.
So
Before you just get in, I
Yes.
always keep giving this example even as you hold your thought. Fabrice Mwamba, collapsed in a game. I think it was Tottenham against a team. He collapsed.
Yeah, Bolton.
Against Bolton.
Yes.
He collapsed in that game. The guy who came and did the most in trying to save him was a fan. He saw those guys bringing out resuscitators, and he walked out from the crowd and said, I'm a doctor. I can help. I can see these guys are trying to do something. Can I be of help? And he identified himself and went to the stadium, and he went a long way into saving the poor man's life.
Yep.
English fans attract doctors, cardiologists into stadiums. Guys that's their time off. I mean, study on a game, like he's a cardiologist. How can we, even as we wait for your what you want to say and what Bernard does say, how can we bring these people into Kenyan football stadiums? A doctor somewhere is a football fan. I meet some very, very established guys and they tell me, what's happening in Kenyan football, man? They are not quite interested, but there is some small interest. How can we stir up that interest?
It's three things. One, value for money. Like Bernard asked, if I pay 3,000, what am I getting out of it? What's my experience like? Okay, do you have the corporate box with the bed like we saw in the Chelsea thing? Or what do you get for paying that money? So what's the value for money in terms of the quality of the game, in terms of the fun experience, in terms of when you finish the day, how will you feel? If you've been to a game in the UK, you know how that whole atmosphere is like. So
Please take me through. I've not.
What, like you've got your match day program which you buy. You can buy your scarf. You can have your what they call it? You can have your refreshments around the stadium when you get in. Like there's so many things. You can go to the club shop. Like it's a whole day affair. You can literally go out and that's the day. So what's your value for money? That's number one. Number two, it's perception. That's what Bernard has said. How do we perceive our football? How do we see our game? Do we see it as worthy?
Can I take my 5-year-old to the stadium? No.
Do we see it? No, first of all, do we see our football as worthy? Do we have that perception of, are we safe? Are we unsafe? Is it fun? Is it not fun? Now, I spent a decade plus covering Kenyan football every single weekend. I've been to every single stadium in this country, Bagusi Stadium. There's not a stadium in Kenya I haven't been to that hosts Kenyan Premier League, and maybe Narok. But you can tell where the experiences are fantastic. I was there when people would be stuck in traffic and get into Nyayo National Stadium and we watch night games.
True, I remember those days.
But then the question, that's why I said, value for money and perception. What are we going to find there? Also, how to overcome the marketing aspect of it, where the EPL makes you believe Everton versus Tottenham is such a big game that you'll go watch. The EPL has you so hooked that you will sit down and watch Sheffield versus Burnley instead of watching Real Madrid versus Granada,
which is a better game.
They just have a way. So how do you get all those things to work together? And it goes back to an age-old argument in this country, which I suffer a lot, especially with my show on Sunday, with people saying, oh, local media doesn't cover Kenyan football enough. Local media needs to prioritize it over this. And it goes back to the chicken and egg situation again. What do you produce a product that is so good that no one can ignore it? Or do you, so everyone jumps on it? Or do you make your product so good that people come? Or do we come into the product, push it for you so hard that everyone takes notice? So which one works? Is it make the product so good that everyone, you can't not talk about Kenyan football? Or do you guys decide, as we are setting an agenda, we are changing the perception of this, until everyone is forced to agree that, by the way, we have to go watch Kenyan football.
I'm interested in finding out, Wokabi. A country like South Africa, the PSL, some would say is the benchmark, like in terms of African continent, in terms of the
Sub-Saharan, yes.
Yes, Sub-Saharan Africa. Maybe you'd look at the Egyptian league as well.
North Africa is on a whole different level, but
so
yes, Sub-Saharan.
How are we able? What can we learn from these two leagues? Because
you have to invest.
Because for them, you can like you've seen. I don't know if you've gone for a PSL.
Yeah,
match.
I have been. Yes.
Look at how.
Road,
look at the atmosphere. Look at the branding. As much as people, yes, they might find they support all these EPL teams and stuff, but people are proud. You see somebody with a Makosi, somebody wearing an Orlando Pirate, and it's original. Because
people who do marketing, first of all, sat and put in money into building the brand. Like there are no shortcuts into building the brand, into making sure there is enough money where you, and then it's. You love this word. It's an ecosystem. It's what the league does. It's what the sponsor does. It's what the club does. So it becomes such a big thing where you know for a fact Pirates are pushing this, and this. Sundowns are pushing this, and this. Free State or whatever it was called, or Sanlam Santos, whoever. Everyone is pushing. So it's got to be a whole thing built together, because then it becomes a new culture. Because I kid you not, first of all, they've always liked their football. That's one. They've always liked their they've always been a bit more like Ethiopia and liking their football and watching their
And
football.
to some extent,
and
Simba
Zambia.
Zambia too.
Zambia as well.
Okay, Zambia, what I like about Zambia is all the stadiums are almost filled up. They're not big stadiums.
Yes.
5,000, 10,000, 12,000,
But
15,000.
the turnout is great.
Very. Tanzania also doing a good job, but primarily Simba and Yanga. The rest, fine, they've got some turnout, but not as big. But Simba, Yanga, full, whichever day of the week. 60,000 filled up.
So I feel like you have got to do that. It's got to be a multi-pronged approach to everything. The federation has to do its bit. The league has to do its bit. The clubs have to do their bit. And once you do those, let me tell you, the media will always go where there's a story.
True.
So if you create something that the media cannot ignore, they will come there.
It's true.
And once they come there, then you're flying. I saw it in Kenya when it started with in 2008. Where there was hardly anyone in the stadium. By the time people are dying in the Gore FC game, the fans had come back.
Yes.
But then it's because there was a lot of pushing. SuperSport did a huge heavy lifting. It's the only time I've ever been in a newspaper for an advert. Kenyan football. So you have got to heavy lift from all sides. Can't just be one. Everyone has got to do their bit. And then it's got to be a long-termish thing. It can't be, let's go tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yes. Because I feel the perception needs to change. But for you to change my perception, what's the product?
What's on offer?
What's the product? How do you create storylines that makes everyone want to know what's going on? How do you keep people interested in the game? So is that the work of the clubs? Is it the work of the federation? Is it the work of the media? Whose work is it? I feel like the federation and the clubs and the league, they've got to come together and build this wonderful thing that the media cannot ignore. Because again, the media gives their audience what they want.
True.
That's what the media gives you.
And I think also, based on that, because look, we're hosting AFCON in 2027.
Yes.
And you can imagine the atmosphere that we've witnessed in Ivory Coast. Like the kind of energy, the way the stadium just looks, just that vibe. Even seeing people just online sharing things related to AFCON. For Kenya especially, we need to ask ourselves, look, Uganda, Tanzania, they have a slightly better footballing culture than we do. They have a strong appetite for their local football than we do.
Yeah.
You think about it to some extent.
Yeah, true.
So how do we make ourselves create that appetite? So by the time 2027 reaches, you know for a fact, if there's any random game between Team X and Team Y, by and large, uwanja itakuwa na shida.
I'm not worried.
You know why I'm saying that?
Yes.
It's because bottom line, we need to create, I think, to have long-lasting effects on our league and in the game in general.
I actually think they are two separate things. I'm not worried about the AFCON. Nah. Kenyans one, we like to party. Two, we don't like missing out. We go with the wave.
The FOMO effect.
Yeah, so long as we are told there is a reason why this game is big, we will go watch. And at the end of the day, it's quality football. So we will go watch. I'm not even worried about the AFCON. What I'm worried about is how do we create a system or an ecosystem where people are watching football every day, where people are feeling like you're saying you want to take your boy to watch AFC versus Kakamega Homeboys, and you go. Where guys are traveling with players and with teams. How do you create that atmosphere that it's worthy of the fans' time? And to change the perception that there's nothing to watch in Kenyan football. I think that's it, because AFCON will be. I was the Africa Championships 2010 at Nyayo. Day 1 looked funny. Day 2, day 3, day 4 it was packed. People are being chased away. I keep giving the example, Hal versus Gore at Kasarani. Weren't people being kicked away and chased away 3 hours to the game?
Yeah.
World Under 20, were people being chased away on horseback at 10 a.m. Go away? People will come, and then they'll do all this.
But nini ilikuwa bure.
Nini?
Hiyo ilikuwa bure.
Nini?
Hiyo ya.
Trust you me. All you have to do is show people this is a good thing. If you show people this is a good thing, they will show up. Because Kenyans, when Kenya played Zambia in the famous game Collins Besuma, the one he scored twice at Nyayo,
Yes.
the stadium was packed to the brim. Why?
Because the storyline was Kenyan players in Zambia facing out their colleagues here.
And it was just a week or two after Kenya was number 1, I think, in the World Championships or somewhere. So there was a lot of passion and fervor and patriotism. So you feel the need, you all go. The problem is when you go like that, then Besuma kills us 2-1. So guys are like, huh? So the next time, people are like, nah.
No thanks.
Yeah, you have to, because look, guys, again, maybe I'm too old. I remember the Fabish days, 97.
Packed.
Kenya Harambee Stars, Harambee Stars versus Super Eagles versus Cameroon versus Guinea
Gabon.
versus Burkina Faso versus Gabon. People are being chased away. Everyone wanted to be part of it. The problem is, because there is worth, you are thinking, it's worth of my time. I will have fun. We have to create a culture, like you said. Look, rugby has a culture where guys just go to the game.
Because
Like
like an
Safari
example,
Sevens.
because I'm just trying to think.
Yes.
For example, today there is the Six Nations.
Yes.
And even during the Rugby World Cup, what used to happen is there were league matches like Kenya Cup, but they have a screen there and tell people, once you're done, when to watch your game, you want to watch. So I'm just trying to think of how we can, thinking outside the box, trying to be able to create that culture of, you know what is my plan for the weekend? I'm going to watch a game between Team X, Team Y from the
Like
league.
my plan for the week is
Yes.
Homeboys. Homeboys are playing some, I have to be there. The plan of the weekend involves Homeboys versus Muhoroni Youth. The plan of the weekend involves Zoya Sugar versus Posta Rangers. And that's why I said it's a long thing, because you also have to go with where do these teams draw their roots from? Who's from where, who's not from where? How do people feel connected to a team? How come Bandari doesn't get the fan base you think it should have, given how big a region it represents? How come Shabana is able to do it in a way Bandari is not? For example, I'm just giving an example.
I hear you.
Bandari guys don't throw stones at me and tell me we have fans, but you get what I mean?
Yes, I get.
How does Posta Rangers create a hardcore group of fans? How does Nzoia? Of course it has, because of Kandui, Sudi, Kandui, that whole area, people will show up. But how do you make Police have a fan base? I know Police is big in South B All Stars, you know, it's always had the connections with South B, yeah. But how do you do that? How do you do that with KCB?
There's something that you mentioned some time back, and you even touched on it briefly, is storylines. So I think the league needs to also identify, and even the individual clubs need to identify what unique storylines can we be able to have in the build-up to some of these matches. So, for example, if today is Bidco versus Tusker, you look at something that would have made people think, oh, I have to go and see this game between Tusker and Bidco.
Yeah.
Or even like you see now the storyline for Kenya Police against Gor Mahia.
Yes.
The interesting thing is about the ticketing.
The price of the ticket.
So how are you able to create storylines that pull people, and then now they ensure, okay, fine, wacha niende nione hii game. At ticket ni ngapi? Wacha niende nione. Come and charge that amount. And then I don't know, it needs a lot of
Thinking
brains.
yes.
A lot of
I think the overall statement is it can't be a one-day thing, can't be a one-year thing. It has to be a 10-year thing. You can't just do it tomorrow. You have to plan long-term. Like Bernard is saying, create stories. Those stories come from what? Production. Production comes from who? From the league. The league has to have a broadcast sponsor who's able to produce such storylines. How often when you watch the APL, how many shows are there throughout the week? And they're all driving you towards the game. Fantasy football, Fan Zone, I don't know what, Premier League 1 to 11. Every day there is something. Kelly and Wrighty, what are they all doing? They are just keeping you engaged, Monday to Monday. Then by the time it's Saturday today, you are there wanting Richarlison, who's given Spurs the lead, because the storylines have been told over and over again. So it has to, I think it's a collective thing. It has to take long, but it needs people to sit in there knowing this will happen in 5 years. There's no short, quick fix. Ni leo. Having said that, God are leading 1-0. It's halftime. Nzoia, Rangers, 0-0, halftime. Homeboys, Muhoroni Youth, 0-0, halftime.
Hii track inanichangamisha